Security Commander Nyder was a member of the Kaled Military elite in the waning days of the 1,000-year war between the Kaleds and the Thals for dominion over Skaro. Ruthless, pragmatic and fiercely loyal, Nyder worked his way up the ranks of the Kaled Military before securing the position of Operations Lieutenant, assisting Davros with all manner of tasks, ranging from coordinating tactical bombardments on Thal targets to requisitioning resources from the Kaled Military for use in Davros' experiments. Initially, Nyder's interactions with Davros took place exclusively over the Kaled city's communication systems, but at some point following Davros' accident, the chief scientist was captured by the Thals and held prisoner in their dome, and Nyder personally led the mission to rescue him. When he was safely back in the Kaled dome, Davros personally asked for Nyder, leading to the two meeting in person for the first time. Nyder confessed that he was an admirer of Davros' scientific work, and Davros saw potential in him, promoting him from lieutenant to security commander and installing Nyder as his right-hand man. Nyder became Davros' personal aide and most trusted associate, and he obeyed orders without question. As Davros' development of the Daleks reached its final stages and his grip on the Kaled scientific elite tightened, Nyder became a feared figure throughout Kaled society. As Davros' aide, Nyder was the eyes and ears of the most powerful Kaled on Skaro during the latter months of the war, and he was perhaps the only individual who Davros made privy to the full extent of his plans. When the Fourth Doctor and Harry Sullivan arrived in the Kaled bunker, Nyder overruled General Ravon and took the aliens as prisoners, and subsequently reported their escape to the Kaled dome to Davros. When Davros made the journey to the Thal dome, intent on betraying his people to the Thals to remove their opposition to the Dalek project, Nyder accompanied him, and bore witness to Davros' betrayal of the Kaleds, willingly handing over the formula that would allow the Thals to dissolve the protective shell over the Kaled city and wipe out the majority of his species, save for those in the bunker. Following this, Nyder pretended to have doubts about Davros' plan in order to gain the trust of Garman, the leader of a growing dissident movement within the staff of the Kaled bunker who wanted to halt Davros' experiments and remove the aspects of Dalek conditioning that would make the new creatures totally ruthless and evil. Garman believed Nyder's ruse and gave him the names of those who harboured doubts about Davros' plan, allowing Nyder to round them up and imprison them. He also recaptured the Doctor, Harry and Sarah Jane, and entered Davros' laboratory just in time to save him from being threatened by the Doctor into giving the order to destroy the Dalek embryos. However, the Doctor and his companions were eventually able to escape, and they took Nyder hostage, forcing him to break into Davros' office and destroy the recording that Davros had taken of the Doctor's testimony of future Dalek defeats, preventing Davros from altering history in favour of the Daleks. Nyder later fled and returned to Davros' side, and watched as he ordered the extermination of the Kaleds who had plotted against him. However, the Daleks began to rebel against Davros, seeing their creator as inferior and beginning the manufacture of new Daleks without his consent. Davros ordered Nyder to shut down the production line, and Nyder, as always, obeyed Davros without question. This act would prove to be his undoing, however, as the Daleks' self-defense programming kicked in and they immediately exterminated him. Second only to Davros himself, Nyder was without a doubt one of the most ruthless and merciless Kaleds to ever live. While he preferred a more direct, military-focused approach compared to Davros' more subtle scheming, this, if anything, made the two an almost unstoppable team, allowing them to subvert and exploit the machinations of Kaled society to give the scientific elite complete control over the Kaled race in the latter days of the war. Nyder proved that he was unwaveringly faithful to Davros to the bitter end, even allowing the destruction of his own species in order to further Davros' plans, and he showed a total loyalty to Davros, even bordering on dependency. Nyder refused to believe any statement or notion presented to him that did not conform with Davros' will, and despite his hardened military attitude, he demonstrated a keen cunning, though he recognised his subordinate status to Davros' intelligence and followed him to the end. Peter Miles, the actor who played Nyder in Genesis of the Daleks, based his performance primarily on Heinrich Himmler, stating that he was fascinated by the twisted mentality of men who were so corrupted by power that they were able to deceive themselves into believing that they are acting for the greater good, despite the horrendous atrocities they commit. This essentially sums Nyder up perfectly. He is the ultimate embodiment of dogmatic, ruthless fascism, and was likely a contributing factor in Davros' decision to condition the Daleks to forego mercy and ethics and obey orders without question. Inevitably, however, Nyder's blind devotion and weak-minded submission to Davros' fascist regime was his downfall, and he ironically ended up becoming one of the first victims of the Daleks' long and brutal campaign to eradicate all non-Dalek life in the universe. What do you think of Security Commander Nyder? What's your favourite Nyder moment from Genesis of the Daleks? And do you think that there are any other chief henchmen in Doctor Who that can rival Nyder's loyalty and brutality? Let me know in the comments below.
Don't forget to click below to subscribe to
Dalek Bumps.